All right, ladies, let's kick off here. So, as some of you have said, some of you are grandparents, some of you have older kiddies, some of you have little tiny babies. So, my name is Joss. If you don't know me, this is me and my three kitties at the bottom there. I just quickly pulled this picture from my desktop earlier, and I didn't have time to go finding one with my husband in, so it's just us, but we do have a father in the house as well. He just wasn't in this specific picture. The baby there was, can't remember, maybe 3 months old, but he is 11 months now and giving us a run for our money now that he's moving. Life seemed super relaxed with 3 until very recently. Now I feel like life is ramped up and I'm definitely reaching for my adaptive more often because all of a sudden everything feels chaotic. So this class specifically is aimed, we're looking at how to support moms and babies that are in that first year range. So from really little babies up until a year, but of course some of it can be taken further. You know, not all babies stop teething at a year, some only start at a year. And so that the teething can be used later. And when we're looking at the safety usage of the oils, that obviously can go, we'll have a look until they're a little bit older as well, and kind of give some guidelines there. So let's kick off. Before I go anywhere with talking through how to use what, I want to quickly just touch on purity. So whatever oils you are using, that's amazing. But when we are using essential oils for children specifically, often it's olfactory system that we're going to get into, how they breathe it and how they smell it, and very often it's on their skin as well. What we don't want to do is use synthetically altered or adapted essential oils. Of course, we want to know that what we're using with our very little people is good and proper. And so I'm not going to, obviously later we will talk about doTERRA specifically, but I'm not going to punt on doTERRA because I'm sold on it. If you're sold on it, then that's amazing. If you're not sold on it and you're using some other oils, these are just basic guidelines to make sure that what you're using is safe. Firstly, if you grab any essential oil bottle, it should have the scientific name on that bottle. So it shouldn't say just lavender. It should have the scientific name from which plant that oil came from. So that's your number one clue. You want to see a scientific name. If it says fragrance or essence on the bottle, that is not an essential oil. It is probably created in a laboratory or it has been diluted down a lot to basically just be synthetic. Just move away from it. Just put it back on the shelf. Go for it. Some essential oil companies will also sell essential oils in clear bottles, which makes no sense because we know that essential oils, pure essential oils, need to be kept in a dark amber bottle so that no UV light can get into it and change the chemical constituents or composition of it. Then another this one's a little bit more in depth, but you want to be able to find the source and the makeup, the chemical makeup of the oil. So you want to find a company that you can trust because this stuff is open and transparent. If you cannot find that, then that should be a red flag. So there is a very popular essential oil brand that a lot of people ask me about, and I've dug into it as hard, I've really dug as hard as I could to try to find their sourcing structure. Where are they getting their oils from? All it says is a country. There's no story. Some of them don't even, some of their oils won't even tell you where they're sourced, even as a country. And it just says pure and organic, but that is not enough for me. So I would encourage you to also find that. If you can't find those things, flag it as a red flag, move on. And then of course, the very obvious one is if you feel like you're getting an essential oil at an absolute steal of a price, that should say something to you. Because when I look at certain essential oils that are sourced from far away, from naturally grown places, there is no ways that they can be only 50 Rand on my shelf. There is absolutely no way. So those are some just things to look out for when you are choosing an essential oil for yourself and for your family, but even more so for your baby. If you're pregnant, there is research that essential oils can work through your body and actually pass through the placenta and have an effect on the baby inside. Of course, if you're using a really natural essential oil, those effects are going to be good. But if you're using synthetic fillers or essential oils that are made in laboratories, those are obviously not going to have a great effect. That's not really what we want. When we're looking for natural solutions, we want to know that we're getting the natural solution that we're looking for. So obviously, I am very much in love with the doTERRA brand, but this is not a doTERRA workshop today. But yeah, if you are not sold on them, go have a look at all of their source to use sites and those sorts of things. Then, this is one someone asked for earlier, dilution and dosages. When it comes to dilution, there is a reason that we do this. So what dilution means is I take a bottle of essential oil that has, if you've got a 5 ml bottle, it's got 80 drops in. I do not take that neat oil and use it on my baby. I don't plug out 5 drops and rub it on them, or even on myself actually. I dilute it down with something called a carrier oil. And there are loads of different types of carrier oils, and there's different reasons for people using them. Jojoba oil is super nourishing. There's grapeseed oil, avocado oil, whichever you choose. We like to use the fractionated coconut oil most often because it is absorbed easily and it doesn't leave oil on the skin for a long time. As you can imagine, jojoba being very nourishing is really nice for the facial skin because it helps the skin stay moisturized. So when it comes to babies, whatever works for your baby, if you try something and there's no immediate reaction, negative reaction, then that's good. Then you're good to go. But there shouldn't really be any danger with any carrier oils unless your child has an allergic reaction to one of them, which is very rare. So what we do is we take either a tablespoon or a teaspoon and we use these little roller bottles, which look like this. Oops, that one doesn't have a lid on. So they generally come, I actually can't see if you can see me here. They come without their lid, without a little roller, but once they're full and you put the roller on, you'll have this little roller top. So this is just for anyone that hasn't used these before or anyone new to essential oils. And what we do is we take these roller bottles, you get 5 ml bottles and you get 10 ml bottles. So when I'm talking about the percentages now, you'll see what percentage dilution you want for the bottle. And you can see under the dilution amount, I've got 10 ml bottles and 5 ml bottles that we're using. What I want you to know is that you can't go too wrong. So this is not, there's no hard, fast rules. When I say 3 drops, for Zengest in a 5 ml bottle, and you put 4 accidentally, there's no reason to panic. If you put 2, it doesn't mean it's not going to work. It's going to be fine. So this is important, but it's not make or break. Why we dilute it is because baby skin is really, really sensitive. And we want to just tone down the potency of the essential oil so that when we apply it, there's no reaction on the skin. It's not really about what's going to happen inside the body. Once the oil touches the skin, it gets absorbed, it works. But what does often happen is if we're using essential oils often on the same spot, so let's, for example, baby has a tummy bug or has just some tummy issues, and we're using Zengest on their stomach. But I'm applying it at every single nappy change, but because he's got a runny tummy, the nappy changes are very frequent. What will happen is that because the oil is so potent, there might be a little reaction on their skin. And that will take the form of little red bumps or little white bumps, but there will be a little rash that forms. And then I know it's too strong and I need to tone back again a little bit. And then all I do is I pour some of that mixture out into another bottle. I top it up with some extra carrier oil just to dilute it more. And then I keep going because we want to use it more often. So regular use of a diluted version is better than one use of a very intense dosage. So when we're looking at, so that's one reason that we dilute it. The second reason is because the oils are so potent and so effective, we can dilute it, which makes our money go a lot further. So I love speaking to people where they're like, oh, a bottle of lavender is it's quite expensive. And there's always this money factor and this price tag. But when I'm only using 2 drops in my rash little roller, that lavender goes a really, really long way. And so those are 2 reasons that we want to dilute it down. But mostly and foremost, we don't want our baby skin to have any kind of reaction. So when we're looking at this, if you're pregnant, you can be wanting a 1 to 2% dilution. If during labor, we can have a bit more, but not too much, not as a regular, normal human, as a normal adult. So a bit more than pregnancy, but less than a general roller. For your new babies, and that is, I would say, up to between 4 to 6 months, you are looking at a 0.25% dilution. That means basically 1 drop in a 10 ml bottle. So 1 drop of essential oil in a 10 ml bottle. When I'm talking about these drops, I'm talking about those really potent, strong oils. Your digestive oils, your peppermint, your clove, aniseed, so in doTERRA terms, your On Guard, your Zengest. Those hotter oils, the warm oils, the oils that are, if you put them on your skin, you want to dilute them. But when I'm talking about lavender is a calming oil. If I throw an extra 2 drops of lavender, that's okay. So when my little baby had reflux, we used 3 drops in his roller for his throat. This is not a sensitive area. I was applying a tiny bit regularly, but it had absolutely no reaction. When I used the same roller on his stomach, he got little red bumps. So it was too strong for his stomach area, but fine for his throat area. Different areas of our body are different. I'm not going to use the same amount on their face or on their nappy areas as I would if they had a little burn on their arm or on their back, for example. It's very rare that you see a rash happening on their back. So that's why I said this is not a fast and hard rule. It's a general rule. There's space to play around, but always start with the least amount. So start with that 1 drop. If you're not seeing a difference, up it to 2, up it to 3, or add a drop of lavender. So that's a calming oil. Maybe you've got a few drops of Zengest in there and you want to add some lavender for soothing. Top it up with those Roman chamomile, also very soothing to the skin, unlikely going to cause a big reaction. I hope I've explained that well, because I don't want you to think there's only one way of doing this. There really, really isn't. And it is, every person is different, or skin types are different, but we want to be very gentle when it comes to our baby's skin, of course. If there's anything I've left out there, please pop a question in the comments if I haven't explained that nicely, or if you have a question around anything there. Then some safety guidelines around using essential oils with your baby. We obviously love natural solutions. We love them. And what I always say to people is that this is the way I do it. That is how I work. I like to use these, but I'm not going to force anyone to do it, because we are different. Families are different. Structures are different. The capacity is different. When a very small baby is sick, so if your baby is under 3 months and they are sick and they are struggling to breathe, I wouldn't rely solely on essential oils. I would take my small baby to a GP to be checked out. What I also like about heading to the GP when you're not sure exactly what is going on is that you often walk away going, okay, it's an earache. Now I know what to treat. Because when they're so little, we don't really know. They've got a fever because of something, they're crying, you're not really sure what exactly you're treating. Diffuse lavender, because that's going to be helpful. But it's nice to sometimes just have that gauge of what really is going on and then we can treat it using essential oils. So I never want to encourage people to be a all or nothing essential oil user. The doctors are there and they know what they're doing, so we can trust them and we can change up how we are administering help to our baby. Another one, avoiding oils in the bath. This is quite a big one because everyone loves essential oils in the bath. That's great. It's a great way to get the aroma into our nose, into the babies. I use lavender in the bath with my baby, or Serenity sometimes, a drop in there. But do be aware that we don't want the baby swallowing it, of course. We also don't want it to come into too much contact, especially around the face and the eyes. I had a friend who had a bottle of On Guard, and she threw some in the bath with her children. And unfortunately, the meat On Guard got into some sensitive areas on her kids, and it was red and they were screaming. And so just be cautious around essential oils and which ones you're using in the bath. So of course, lavender is very gentle, but if you're going to start throwing peppermint in there, it really can be quite dangerous. And so I would really just say, if you've got a baby under 1, stick to just lavender and just 1 drop. So just keep it very, very mild, just so there's enough for smell. Another option is to just pop the drop of lavender next to the bath or next to the shower, but not in the bath with the baby. Okay. An easy way to introduce. Can you guys see this still? Nadine, can you see the screen? Yes. So a nice way to introduce essential oils to your baby is for you to wear it. So if your baby has congestion and they're quite congested and they're not breathing very nicely, instead of applying eucalyptus onto your child, which is, unless you're using eucalyptus radiata, don't use eucalyptus on your small kiddies. So only that one form of eucalyptus can be used on your kiddies. But then you use it on yourself. Use a diluted version on an area where they're not going to stick their face. So obviously, if you apply it on your chest, they're going to be putting their face there. But if you have it on the back of your hands or behind your ears and their head is close by, they can get those, they can smell those oils on you. It's also nice for them just to get used to it without it diffusing right in their room. So again, when we're using essential oils, a new one on your baby as they get older, maybe you want to try a different oil, you want to try something new, dilute it down heavily, perform a little spot test on a sensitive area, see what happens, and then you can increase that dosage to whatever they're needing, and you can use it wherever they need it. I like the idea of having your rollers set up so that when you need them, they're available to you. So you don't want to be scrambling for things when all of a sudden your baby's got a fever. You want to have it ready. You can use that little roller, do a little spot test on them, and then you've got it for the day that fever comes. Because you don't want it to come and then you're running around and you accidentally put 5 drops of peppermint in and you use it on your baby and then they come out in a rash and they've got a fever and a rash and an infection. You want to be prepared. And I'm only speaking from experience here when I scrambled around to find oils the one day and I used the wrong one accidentally on one of my children. We won't go into that story because we don't have time for it. But on this point, babies and children should not ingest essential oil. True. If they do, they will be okay though, right? I know some people will say, oh, but my children eat the gummies, the little On Guard gummies, and that's fine. From 4 years old, they can start having literally a quarter drop of essential oil. And then from 8 and up, they can actually take essential oils, a whole drop of essential oils as they grow up. On Guard gummies are amazing. They're super diluted and great for immune boosting. So if you don't have the On Guard or the gummy recipe, you can speak to any wellness advocate and they can help you out. Otherwise, I can send it to you as well. And then when you're diffusing essential oils around babies, sorry, what you want to do is, we don't want to overwhelm their senses. They are small. They smell things way more intensely than we do. The same way they hear things and experience things. So what you want to do is have an open room, open door, diffuser going. Oh, I need some water. add less. So just 2 drops in the diffuser, let it run for an hour, and then let it stop. Oh, my word, sorry. Having a choke here. And then turn it off. Just let it run for an hour at a time, not throughout the night with small kiddies. Whoa! Having a good little cough. Bernadine, I will get these slides sent off. I can't even speak. Sorry, guys. I don't know what is going on. Definitely didn't choke. I will get the slides sent off to wherever. Are you part of the VIP group? No. Where'd you pop a message? Who invited you to this class? Whoever invited you, just ask them afterwards. They'll be able to get it. Okay. All of the wellness advocates will have access to it. Okay, so looking at sleep. Now, I love lavender. I speak on it in every single class that I teach. It's my absolute favorite oil. It's like my base starting point for everything. How do essential oils work with sleep? If you're not sure on how the olfactory system works, what happens is we have these little nerves in the top of our nose over here called our olfactory nerves, and they are connected to our pituitary gland, which is in the back of the brain, which is responsible for releasing hormones. Now, what is super amazing about the lavender, and there are loads of research articles on this, is that lavender is very high in a chemical constituent called linalool. It's about 30% in the doTERRA is lavender. This constituent helps to calm the central nervous system. It also promotes slow wave sleep. So it helps you to sleep deeper for longer. And what is amazing is that we're not putting something in our body which is causing sleep. We're teaching our body to make melatonin itself. So the studies have shown that just breathing in lavender, so we're not even putting anything in our system, we're breathing it in, has the ability to increase the melatonin levels in our body. Isn't that amazing? We breathe something in and our body makes a different hormone, which is just so cool. Obviously, melatonin is the hormone that's responsible for sleep, which is why our lavender is so incredible. And if you're a mom, lavender this is the one that you need around all the time. It is not just good for sleep. It's great for everything: antiseptic, antifungal, burns. So I read this article where actually it showed that using lavender on a wound closed and healed the wound faster than a similar wound where no lavender was applied. Actually, it was an over-the-counter treatment that was being used on the other person. That was the article. Sorry, that wasn't part of my slide, but I'm just thinking of that now. So your bug bites, bug stings, if they burn themselves on a hot anything, amazing. So lavender is what you're going to use, depending on the age of your child, how much. So my baby's 11 months old right now, and we use about 4 drops in the diffuser at night, and it just runs for 2 hours and then it stops. Serenity is a great blend. If you're not sure about Serenity, it is the lavender mixed with vetiver. So vetiver is known for its sedative properties. It's incredible. I actually have 2 stories that I have to tell you. If you are looking into this or you know of a baby struggling with sleep, I had a friend come to me about 1.5 years ago, and she was like, "We haven't slept in months and months and months. Please help me, send me something." And her husband was not willing to pay for the small bottle of lavender. He was like, "That seems excessive." And so I just sent them a 1 milliliter sample bottle. And do you know what's great? Moms are willing to try anything. But when her husband messaged me to say, "Oh my word, we have not slept like this in like 16 months. I don't know how the stuff does it, but it's amazing. We have slept the last 3 days, which was so awesome. And then I had another friend who tried it out, and I said to them, use it for a week. Don't use it for 3 days. Use it for a full week. Give it a full go. And we created a little roller bottle with lavender and vetiver in. And she said she used it for 1 night, 2 nights, 3 nights. And this was all like feedback I got afterwards, because she didn't get in touch with me. And I was a bit worried. And she said the 3rd night was worse than any of the other sleep she'd had. And she just remembered that I said, give it a week, give it a week. And by a week, her baby was sleeping throughout the whole night. And I think her child is 3 now, and she's still using it. She said she's too afraid to stop using it. So give it always a week, and then change your protocol when you're looking at sleep with babies. Sleep's a big one. I'm not talking about a baby that's 3 months old. I do not think that lavender is going to help. Small babies need to feed. They need to wake up. So this, we're looking at a little bit older, after that 6, 7, 8 month mark, we can start incorporating this. But you can use the lavender anyway. It will help them to sleep better. So moving on to our teething oils. There's lots of different ways to help with teething, because what we're doing is we're focusing on pain and inflammation. Those are the 2 things we're trying to cover when we're looking at teething. And obviously clove is amazing, because clove is a numbing oil, so it numbs that pain, and basically the baby can't feel that they're so sore. And with teething, it's very, very tricky, because some babies are born with teeth, they continue teething, and they're done by the time they're 7 or 8 months old. And then other babies only start when they're 1 year old. And so it's a very tricky one to target, because sometimes you're not sure what's happening. The baby's crying, they're very miserable. Is it teething? Is it something else? What is causing this? So as they get older, it's obviously easier to know, and if we can see what's happening. Clove is a great oil to use in those rollers. It is a hot oil though, so we don't want it in a sensitive area. We also want to dilute it down a lot. I'm saying 1 drop in a tablespoon of carrier oil, and see how that goes. If it looks like it's making the baby's skin rashy, we dilute it down even more. If you feel like it's not actually helping with the pain, then you can add another drop if it's not causing any rash or any reaction. Your Roman chamomile and your lavender are your soothing oils. I used lavender on my 2nd daughter, and it blew us away. She was teething. I didn't really know what I was doing. I used neat lavender on her gun, but she slept really well that night, which was very different to the previous months before that. So lavender has a special place in our heart for her. She still loves her lavender. But Roman chamomile and lavender, 2 really great oils to use in teething blends. Again, you want to go back down to your dilution chart and see how much you want to use with your babies. Another great oil that isn't on the slide is copaiba. So copaiba is super calming on the whole nervous system. That is also really great to be added to a teething roller. I don't know why I don't have it on here. I feel like I did, but I also didn't have a picture in the beginning. So I'm not sure what's going on with the slides here. But I know that when teething happens, often it doesn't come on its own. It's not a one-man show. It comes along with a whole bunch of other stuff. Some babies get fever. So with fever, we want to look at lavender and peppermint. 1 drop in a 5 ml bottle each, and we're going to use that up and down the back regularly to bring fevers down. I know that teething can sometimes cause funny tummy issues. Then you're going to grab your Zengest or your ginger, and we're going to look at a digestive blend just now, but that's going to be lovely to rub on their tummies. Some babies get earache. Now, none of this is, the doctors and all the articles will say that these things are not linked and they cannot be related, but we've been there and we know these things are happening. So your earache, you're going to grab some tea tree, amazing for ears, with some frankincense, a drop of each in a teaspoon, and you're going to apply that just around the ear. You never want to put essential oils inside any ear ever. Some people do recommend a drop onto cotton wool just placed on, but I would just roll it around the outside of the ear, and if you want just a little bit just on the inside so it can just be absorbed and run through the system. yeah, I'm not sure if there's anything else that comes along with teething. It just feels like a very difficult time in general. So yeah, that's our teething. There's a lot going on with everything I said, but these are your oils along with copaiba that you would use in a teething roller. Another big one that I get asked about a lot is rashes. So eczema on the skin, nappy rash, that sort of stuff. And my go-to are always lavender, tea tree, and frankincense. Your frankincense heals the skin, so it helps the skin to regenerate and renew. Your tea tree is antibacterial, so it will stop any bacteria that's entering that area. And then your lavender is soothing, helping the skin to calm down, any redness to be reduced. It is amazing. What I do want to point out though, when we work with tea tree with babies, I want you to just be very aware. Look around, make sure that the tea tree isn't causing anything else to happen. I see Diane, Correct X, is that for the rashes? Because that'll be amazing. Correct X is amazing. It's amazing for everything. Like I've got some.
Sorry, Josh, I'm just asking. I've got a friend who's got a little boy, 2.5, and he had some nappy rash, and she says she grabbed the Correct X that she had, and she still wants to send a before and after photo. It worked like a dream, but I'm not sure if it might be too strong for the little bunnies.
That's a great point. I wouldn't use it on a tiny baby, but if you, man, if you take a tiny bit, it's already diluted in there, but it's got some very, very incredible oils in there. So I wouldn't use it before 6 months. So after 6 months, I think that would be fine. We used it a bit later on, but not when they were very, very small. Just because there are some very strong, very potent oils in there. Correct X is an amazing product, like incredible. If you got the special, I think it was 2 months ago, you were really winning with life. Yeah, thank you. That was a great point. Yeah, so I think what I was trying to say, tea tree. Yes, so some people might have an allergic reaction to tea tree. It won't be the first time I've heard of it. So just watch out for that. You can always bring it down, tone it down, especially with little bubbas. And then another nice point that I learned long ago was the rollers are great. But someone said to me, like, if you've got a rash and something's really uncomfortable, you don't want anyone touching that area. And so a spray bottle is really nice. It kind of disperses it evenly into like a sprinkle, especially on the nappy area. So that was a really nice tip. And I thought, oh, how nice. Instead of a mom having to open a bottle, scoop out, put it on, now you got it on your finger and you're closing the bottle. Same with the roller lid. You just have a nice little spray bottle and just, onto those areas and then nappy back on. So that is a really, really nice way to use that. I much prefer that. Okay, so I'm going to move on to Shem. I think the lady that asked about the reflux has left already. I think she said her phone was going to die, if I'm not mistaken. Digestive support. Your Zengest, and again, you'll see lavender. But your ginger, your fennel, your aniseed, those kinds of oils can be used to make it. And then there is also a Kitty's digestive blend called Tamer that you can use. Zengest is remarkable. 1 drop in a roller, in a 10 ml roller, should be good. If you feel like you need more, obviously you add more afterwards, but it is very potent and very, very effective. So our baby he was fine up until a few weeks old, and then he just started crying every time I lay him down. He would just cry on his back, he would cry at night, and I couldn't understand what had changed all of a sudden. And one day a friend came over and she said to me, my baby had reflux and she did exactly like this. So this was our 3rd child. I thought I understood babies. I thought I understood what was going on. And I did not. Neither of my previous 2 had reflux. So I was a bit thrown. And she looked at me and she went, where's your Zengest? And I was like, oh my word, okay, let's give it a go. And I was like, there's got to be a reason for everything. And so I created a bottle of Zengest, and I was with Lauren the whole day. So she had seen him in the morning and she'd seen him crying. And by that later afternoon, her and I were both astonished at this different child that was with us. He was so much calmer, just more relaxed. And he only woke up once that night for a 6-week-old. He slept, I think he was so tired from waking up so often and all the crying. He slept so well from when we started using it. And then I gave my roller to someone to try, thinking I would go back home and create a new one. And I could not find my Zengest. I couldn't find it anywhere. I created something else with some wild orange and ginger. It just didn't do the same job. And so the next evening, I was like, can't carry on like this. Raced off to get some new Zengest, and the piece presented itself once more, which was amazing. So I think that was my turning point on Zengest. I hadn't believed in it quite as much as I did until that point. So very, very big believer in that incredible oil. When you're creating a roller, again, the lavender is just for soothing. So the Zengest will, if you're using it on tummies, will get in there and do its job on the digestive area, and the lavender will help to soothe pain. So I've read loads of research articles. Of course, there's no way for us to measure pain. So I can't put a machine on you and measure your pain and that pain and what's different. But what they do record over and over again is that people that have similar operations, that have lavender diffused near them as opposed to the placebo, they feel better faster. They feel less pain. They are often more comfortable after the operations. And again, each person is different. So it could just be that they are, just more tolerant of pain. But these articles just keep coming back the same. If lavender is diffused, their pain tolerance is just better. So that's for digestive support in different ways. When we look at essential oils that we want to use, I'm speaking specifically around doTERRA, all oils are regarded as safe. But there are a few we want to stay away from little children and babies. And those are the ones on your screen. Your deep blue is very hectic. Your hot oils like On Guard, I wouldn't use on a tiny baby, no matter how diluted down. Then you want to go and get stronger from the Kitty's Blend, or create a new immune boosting roller. Your eucalyptus, as I said earlier, you want Eucalyptus radiata specifically. So make sure that scientific name is on the bottle. Your fennel, your rosemary. Remember, these are just for tiny babies that we want to avoid them. It's not from around 1, it's fine. Then all the other oils, these oils are all fine for them, as long as they can tell you this is uncomfortable. So that's just a small little watching point there. And then that's all that I have for you. I had a picture there. It's also gone. I don't know where it's gone to. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't going to be too long a class. I hope that I answered those questions that were asked earlier. If you're not sure what Correct X is, please ask somebody about it. It is amazing. If you have any other questions that you'd like to know, you may pop them into the comments. I'm going to stop the recording now. So thank you so much for being here, and those of you that are watching.